the CLICO Trinidad and Tobago Marathon. This race brings together the best distance runners from across the region and also attracts a wide variety of international participants. Japanese Hajime Nishi made the trip from Tokyo especially for the CLICO Marathon. He may be a small man in stature, but Nishi has an enormous presence and an even bigger dream.
Eco Marathon is based on the conservation or protection of the environment. And also it has a very tight relationship with the humanity and world peace.
Trinidad and Tobago is the 53rd country that Nishi will run a marathon, and the CLICO Marathon will be his 208th race overall.
But he is best known for his world record. The first man to run 7 marathons on the 7 continents over a 7-month period. With all that experience, Nishi brings with him a strong message.
We have to respect each other. We have to respect this beautiful nature because we are part of nature. We are nothing superior. Humans are nothing superior than another species. If we are superior, how come we can solve all the pollution or the solution of the problem in the world? We are such imperfect species, but we can work together. That's the point, because humans are basically the same.
The marathon is a special sporting event. It is the only race which allows a novice or fun runner to line up with a world champion, one-on-one. Naturally, the CLICO Marathon always has the right mix of competitors. That mix of people who color the event. Some, who like Nishi, make this race a way of life, while for others it's an opportunity to test oneself, to achieve something, or just to dream ambitiously.
Well, I got a letter from my brother in Rome saying that he had run a marathon, and I thought that sounded real cool. I was about 40 years old at the time, so I said, well, I think I'll wait till I'm old, around 50, and I'll run a marathon just to prove I could do it. The first marathon that they had in Trinidad was when I was 48 years old, so I jumped the gun, I went in it, and was a little devastated, I think.
One of the regulars of the CLICO Marathon is Vincent Cannell, better known to his friends as Vin. At age 66, Vin is a veteran of the road, and he harbors no illusions about the task ahead of him.
You have to have faith and be an optimist to start a marathon at all. A person who is a pessimist could never start a marathon, and if he started, he certainly wouldn't finish. You have to be a great optimist to feel, because the human body, as I always say, is designed to go 20 miles, no more.
Another of our marathon men with a positive head is Winston Stewart, also known as Sandiyata in the art world. This pioneer of local road racing will be celebrating 50 years young in the 2001 edition of the CLICO Marathon. For Sandiyata, this new milestone presents a refreshing challenge.
I think the preparation is very important because you start seeing the probability of what you have to encounter on the day in training. It's like a Zen thing, it's not just an intellectual thing.
But this race also attracts its fair share of novices. These are people who run for their own personal glory, with no chance of ever sharing in the over $200,000 in prizes and cash incentives. It is these runners who give the race its soul. This leads us to Adrian Rocky Balkasoon and his wife Paula. Rocky's having his first crack at the CLICO Marathon, while Paula had her debut run in 2000, and she is coming back for more.
I look up to people who run marathons because I realized it took a lot of guts to run a marathon, and it's an ambitious thing, but I said, if I tried it just to see what it's like to be in the crowd of people who are doing it, I ran it only just to get a feel of it. I didn't know if I was going to finish or anything. I just wanted to say, look, I entered it.
Seeing that I did 14 miles last year, it told me, and without any training at all, it told me that, maybe I need some sort of accomplishment in my life physically. You hear all these stories about guys climbing Mount Everest, K2, and all these things at some incredible ages, 49 and 50 years old. So I'm just 37, so I think I want to have something down that I can show to it, that, you know, later down the road when my kids grow up, I said, well, look, I did the marathon, some sort of accomplishment.
This husband and wife are employed with sponsors CLICO, so there's a special significance to their participation. However, while they enjoy an intimate relationship, they will not approach the marathon as a team.
The pace that she's running at is a bit slower than my pace, so it's going to be difficult for me to keep up with her. I should say the opposite, should be her keeping up with me. My stride is a bit longer, so therefore it's kind of hard for us to run together, especially for 26 miles. So I think all in all, she will run her race and she will concentrate on her and focus on that, and I will do the same for me.
He helped me last time, so I wouldn't have that person with me again. And also, he's in the race now, and that is also a good thing because I feel, you know, he's waiting there to see me.
From a competitive standpoint, defending champion Pamanos Valentine is the overwhelming favorite to make it 5 in a row. The women's race is a more complex affair with the 1998 champion Venezuela Yulma Ruiz squaring off against the 2000 runner-up Tammy Slusser. The diminutive American is, however, tipped to win. Stay with us. When we return, it will be the start of the 2001 CLICO Marathon. On marathon morning, the air was thick with anticipation. The runners went through their final preparations and warm-ups. The moment of truth was close at hand. A light drizzle had cooled the early morning temperatures and the main players took their places behind the line. Sports Minister Manohar Ramsaran gave the proceedings a formal touch. As the clock struck 5:30, all 367 starters began the grueling odyssey from Chaguanas to the Queen's Park Oval.
At the front of the race, Ivan Nurse of St. Joseph led the runners on the Chaguanas main road heading east. But the big gun soon overran him. A small group including champion Pamanos Valentine, his brother Benedict, Barbadian Keith Cumberbatch, and Venezuelans Centeno Cruz and Marco Antonio Ramirez led with a strong clip.
In the women's race, Trinidadian Cyriline Nero had made a bold start in the pre-dawn conditions. Nero made the best of her early lead, and in the darkness, no challenger was in sight.
At the back of the race, Paula was running at her own pace. Rocky was slightly ahead, running with a small group. Nishi, the Japanese road warrior, was also some way at the back. Little had changed at the front. The lead pack was running at a relentless pace, taking advantage of the cool conditions. There were few words between the runners. It's all business. Some way behind, Slusser was running to her plan.
My strategy is to run my pace. I have a pace that I know I want to run to come in under the course record time. And I'm going to stick to that pace, hopefully, no matter what the other women do. I'm saying that now. It's easy to say I'm going to stick to my pace, but it's hard if you see somebody else go out in front of you. It's hard to hold back, but you have to force yourself.
At the rear, Paula was doing her thing.
I need to be relaxed and I need to know it's not a competition, that I'm just doing it for myself.
Rocky, meanwhile, seemed to be enjoying the early miles. Everyone was heading to Port of Spain, and the people of central Trinidad made every effort to make the runners feel special. Yuilma Ruiz was running third in the women's race with a group of men. And at the front of that race, Slusser had caught up with the flying Nero. At the front, the lead pack was down to 3. The Ballantyne brothers worked in tandem. Cruz tried bravely to keep pace. But it was tough going, and the Venezuelan was forced to bow to the pressure. The runners had sorted themselves out. The honeymoon period was over. Soon the pressure would really be on, as the sun was ready to break.
At the front, Paminos Ballantyne had command of the CLICO Marathon, trying to keep on terms with Benedict and Trinidad and Tobago's Cantius Thomas. In the women's race, Slusser had also taken charge. The women's favorite was not mucking about.
I'm going to run my race because I have learned the hard way that the biggest mistake you can make in a marathon is going out too fast the first 10 miles. And once you go out too fast, there's no way you can recover from that. You're going to hit the wall.
Sandiata was some way behind the leaders, but this was his race.
I'm putting myself on the line. I'm competing against me and nature and the road and temperature, So I look forward to that, So that's the key thing. The anticipation is there, and see how you just work it mile by mile, to see if you can achieve what you set out to do. But that's a real now thing, Right now I could think about it, but on that day, it comes down now to, it's real. Everything lines up. Your thoughts, your body, the environment, everything is really one.
All along the route, spectators had turned out to support the runners. Stay with us. The Race of Dreams heads to Port of Spain when we return. People choose to run a marathon. It's their choice. Some things, though, happen by chance.
My friend who lives a little lower down the street was having a birthday party.
He went to meet somebody else. I went to expect somebody else.
Her date didn't show up. My date didn't show up.
Oh, we got introduced to one another because I knew his nephew. And I was talking and he introduced me, this is my Uncle Rocky. I said, yes, and we stood there talking all the time, looking back, seeing when this person not turning up at all. And we talked and...
That's when everything kind of sparked off and one thing led to the next. And
the sun began to toast and Paula buckled down to the task. At the front of the race, however, Paminos Ballantyne demonstrated his class. He was going at record pace. all intents and purposes, the race was over.
At the finish line, all was in readiness for the winner.
We welcome His Excellency, President Arthur Robinson. Thank you, Your Excellency, for gracing us with your presence for the 4th consecutive year.
Slusser too was strutting her stuff in the lead.
For everybody, they have a different goal they want to accomplish, and for me, I'd like to get that course record. That'll be a good goal to shoot for. And if I'm close in that last few miles, that's going to push me on. I really liked the race last year, and finishing second, now I want to finish first. Second wasn't quite good enough.
True to form, Pamanos took his 5th consecutive CLICO marathon in emphatic style. A mere 80 seconds off his own course record. Benedict Valentine followed his brother to take 2nd place.
1-2, a repeat of 1999, the 2 Valentine brothers.
Venezuelan Jefferson Rivas was 3rd.
Marathon to come here and run in the Trinidad and Tobago Marathon, 3rd place.
And homeboy Cantius Thomas ran a game race for 4th.
At the northern end of the oval, the 5K event was about to start with over 900 starters. The 5K was added last year and was retained as part of the marathon. It is an opportunity for the marathon sponsors to promote the road running ethic. The race itself was taken seriously by road runners, and at the front, Cabell Richardson puts his stamp on the event. And that was how it finished. Richardson took the men's division, while Pilar McShine took the women's division. Meanwhile, Slusser's plan had worked like a charm. She would not be denied.
Well, it's very easy now before the race to say, oh, I'm going to be stronger in that last 10K, but that's where the real race starts. Somewhere around 20 miles, you're going to start getting tired, and all your willpower is just going to go out the door, and you just have to find something extra in there. You know, when you're hurting really bad, that's hard to do.
She missed a record, but her victory was still a top-class performance. Former champion Wilma Ruiz took the runner-up spot. And our own Cyrilie Nero ran the race of her life for 3rd. Sandiata also finished his race to plan. Seconds under a 3-hour 10-minute marathon. Mission accomplished.
congratulations to Tammy's sister here. She has won $3,000 and the trophy. Fabulous Valentine receiving the challenge trophy from His Excellency President Arthur Robinson. Number 264 crossing the line, and the 5K coming again, continuing a stream of them here, coming through as Fabulous Valentine receives the trophy. Excellency the President Arthur N.R. Robinson. Congratulations, Fabulous, on an excellent race and your 5 back-to-back victories.
The high points of the day were over, but Nishi was still running for his environmental crusade.
Humans and environment are so connected. We have to take care about it, not only for our time, but for the future generation. This is the perfect place to enjoy the connectedness with nature.
The Japanese runner made it look so easy, smiling all the way and stopping to take his photos. In the end, he finished on exactly 5 hours, stopping on the line to capture the time on film.
I will not compete, I will enjoy the wholeness of marathon. And the wholeness of marathon doesn't mean just to compete the other guy to establish my PR, personal record. To enjoy the beauty of the nature and to be connected with the people.
But the race was not over. The Balkassoons still had to face their final test, and time was against them. When the Race of Dreams returns, Rocky and Paula share their marathon experiences. The marathon is a very special sporting event, and it takes very special people to run a marathon. It is a race of triumphs, and yes, it is a race of disappointments. But with all its challenges, this is the race that all road runners want to conquer. The marathon is truly the race of dreams.
To approach a marathon for the first time and to attempt it, whether you have trained properly, you're being a little reckless, or you just jump in, to attempt it, is heroic. To complete it, is almost divine.
I think the group of people who come year in and year out to participate in the marathon, those people are in fact, I believe, the very essence of what the CLICO marathon is all about.
I think the most important thing is that you have tested yourself, you have put yourself against nature, against the forces, natural forces, artificial forces, traffic, everything. And I know even if you do not run another marathon again, I think you're going to find out something about yourself. What your limits are, not necessarily what your limits are.
And apart from those people who are the regulars, the names that we've heard so often, like you have the Master Baker and you have the Granny Luces, without whom I believe we would have a serious gap to fill in the marathon were she not to enter. Apart from those sort of well-known personalities, we also have the people who decide that the marathon is a challenge for me and I'm going to accept that challenge and I'm going to finish.
Coming home was tough, as expected. By the 23-mile mark, I knew I had to get focused and hold on a bit. Leading up to the finish, which is the most important part, that's with 1 mile to go when we left Cocorite and coming straight up the Western Main Road. That's usually the icing on the cake for me. Get back into stride, look fresh, get ready to smile and wave to the crowd. Who came out there to see us? I say us, not me alone. I always bow to my crowd at the end of the race. That's the best thing I can do. You know, humble myself.
I was very pleased with 2001. If we look at our winners in both the male and the female category, they both came within minutes of the national records, which I think is an excellent performance. Even though I'm a little disappointed about our international competition not coming through, I still think both Paminos and Tammy performed creditably and gave our spectators a real exciting finish to the marathon.
And what of our brave couple, Rocky and Paula?
It just dawned on me, what am I doing this thing for? Let me stop. And then a next part of me will say, no, don't stop, let me go. And then another part say, no, we have to go, we have to stop. And it's like, what gave me inspiration is I saw this guy sitting down on the curb and he was taking off his number. And this guy was a slim guy. I knew him from running around the savannah. I knew he was a runner. And that gave me courage. I say, what is he doing? So I kept pushing myself and I started counting the street lights. Okay, I'll run to one street light and I'll run to two street lights, and eventually I got to about 15 and then I just gave in. I had to stop. And then you're looking at the markers and you're saying 5 more miles, 6 more miles. They extend these miles, how it got so long, you know. I couldn't believe a mile was so long. In the running and the walking, I was pushing myself to the running limit. And as soon as the calf I know was about to seize up, I stopped and I started walking again. I did that for quite a while. And I keep telling myself, I say, look, something had to end here. I thought about Paula. I said, I wonder if she's going through all the same things that I am going through. What is she thinking about? I wonder if she's feeling the same way. What about her pains, you know? Not only did my calf pull, but my hamstring muscle on the left side pull too at the same time. So it was front and back, and I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this can't be real. You know, it can't be happening. I literally have to drag in on one leg. You know, deep down inside, you pull out probably the trump card and you give it all you have, the last bit of energy, the last bit of gas, and you push your way through. Eventually, I started running. I don't know how I did it. I started running, but limping and running at the same time until I reached the finish line. And then I just looked at the finish line for one brief moment down on the ground there, this yellow line just going straight across the road, and I just hopped over it. And to me, that was the best moment of my life, finishing that race at that time.
I want to stop, I don't want to stop because the pain in my back, I had to hold it back. It was wrenching pain, and I said, oh gosh, I could just make it one more mile. And reading the miles on the ground, I felt so good. All the time I was saying, Lord, courage, courage. I was just feeling so high, like I was floating. You're still aware of your pain. That is all you're aware of, your pain. Your foot, your feet, your bones hitting that ground all the time, and your pain in your back. And I said, look, see here, Father, Lord, I just started praying. I said, Lord, you had to take me through this, because I said, I know the courage took on a new meaning. I said, I had to find courage from somewhere. I should probably really stop. Whoever said to stop. And pain is worse when you stop. The pain just took over my back, my legs, everything was engulfed in pain. And I'm trying to walk fast, because if you walk too slow, you don't want your body to cool down too much, because you have to keep running.
In life, you define who you are by the things that you do.
After a while, I started to feel like two of them just too much. They're crowding me. I want space. I can't. Then people come and say, oh, Granny in the back, and it putting pressure on you to like perform. It's a kind of way like you. I mean, Granny's a veteran, yes, but it's like, of course, you don't want Granny to beat you. Well, I have to speed up. I can't stop. I mean, last year I beat her, Granny, and this year I want to beat Granny too. When I saw that home stretch, which is the hardest part, I think, for most people, when you see you're on that home stretch and that sun hitting your face, and you see that finish line, it seems so far away. It's like, whew, you think you really have energy, and there's somebody passing and saying, Granny, close. My sister looked around and she said, oh yes, look, Granny, really close, you know, we have to pull. I said, Paula, you have to make this thing last. And I just get that energy from nowhere. It's okay. Let's keep my eyes on that finish line, and I take a deep breath, and I start to run, and I run. And when I ran, I thought that was the last breath. I couldn't go any further than that finish line because I gave it all I could. Even though it might have seemed slow, it was all the energy I had, and I put it into that little run straight up to the finish line.
In life, you define who you are by the things that you do.